Alright, in this video we're going to take a look at the lighting menu here available inside your viewport. In order for this to make a whole lot of sense, I need to create some sort of scene that I can light. So let me throw in a plane, and I'll switch off the grid to get it out of the way. I'll bring in a NURB sphere. Let's scale it up in X, Y, and Z to 2, and set my translate Y up to 2. Wow, so now I have a ball sitting on top of a plane, like so. Let's go ahead and create, in this case, let's just create a point light for now. And I'll start moving it around my scene, and we immediately see something kind of awkward.
Yeah, there's no lighting data that's being sent over to our geometry. The geometry doesn't look lit by this light.
That's right. Everything looks exactly the same as it did a second ago, save the new light icon now floating around my scene. Why is this? This is because I need to tell my viewport that I want to respect lighting. Right now, we are currently set to use default lighting, which is the lighting that just comes in whenever you shade up your viewport. If I switch this down to use all lights, which is actually the same as hitting the 7 key on your keyboard, you now see the result of lighting like so, as I move this back behind my menu. In fact, let me control-click on the Y-axis. Now I can just move this freely around.
Cool.
So there you go. Now I have some other options, too, that are going to require more than one light. So let me go ahead and hit Control-D, and I'll duplicate this light off, and I'll select both these lights together, and hit Control-D and create a total of, 4 lights. Lots of light in the scene. And I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to hold down the right mouse button over this, come down to Materials, choose Assign New Material, and drop on a blend just to give you a specular highlight, or actually 4 of them to be precise. Just because it'll look cool. There's reasons. Alright, so from here, down here, we have Use Selected Lights. And what this is going to do is only calculate whatever light we have selected. So if I activate it, the whole scene goes black. That's because we are currently not using any lights because no lights are selected.
That's right.
So as I select lights, those lights will switch on. So a really nice way to check and see if any particular lights, and you can really make a selection of however many lights you like, to see which ones are doing their job or which ones might need to be adjusted. Down from here we have Use No Lights. And it looks like my sphere just disappeared.
Yeah.
It didn't. We're not using any lighting whatsoever.
So there's no shading whatsoever.
That's right. So we lose all depth. The whole thing looks very, very flat. Now, down from this, we have Use Previously Specified Lights, which really only works with the Specify Selected Lights command down here at the bottom. And what this allows you to do is to create a selection of lights. Let's say these 2 out here in the distance. Now we can come down and choose Specify Selected Lights. We are now only lighting the scene with these 2 lights. And you'll notice, well, actually, if I refresh the menu by tearing it off again, we are now using the Use Previously Specified Lights option. As I select other lights, as I do other things in my scene, this doesn't change. We are still only using these specified lights. If I need to switch this off, all I do is switch over to any of the other lighting modes, such as Use All Lights, and then all my lights come back on. If for some reason I need to go back and just do that again, I can select those lights a second time, I can specify them again, and again, it's just like locking your selection.
Right. Just don't forget, if you tear off your menu,
that's right. Then it doesn't change. It doesn't update if you tear it off. All right. So with that, let's take a look at down from here. We have 2-sided lighting that is on by default, and this is really going to be a little tricky to see with a sphere. So let me bring in something we can look into, such as maybe a cone. 2-sided lighting basically means that light will be calculated on the positive side of an object as well as the negative side. So you're not going to see any changes when you switch this off on the outside, but you will notice changes here on the underside. If 2-sided lighting is off, that means the light is being calculated as if it travels right through the kind of like lighting a light shade. Hang on. A lampshade.
Okay.
I know what I mean when I say this, but it's like, you know how light looks on the outside of a lampshade when it's lit from within? That's kind of what we're dealing with here. The exact same shading we see on the outside, we will get on the inside as long as 2-sided lighting is off.
Right.
As soon as we turn this on, it's as if the light travels through the object and illuminates the opposite side as well. So basically what you're doing is telling Maya whether or not you want the inside of your objects to receive lighting at all. Down from here we have shadows. This is the last thing I want to show you, and probably one of the coolest things. Let me undo a few times to get my sphere back in here. Now, some video cards will allow you to use this. There are a couple of OpenGL extensions that you have to be able to access with your video card in order for this to work. You can dig into the help file for the Shadows option. It'll tell you exactly what those extensions are. We are using GeForce FX 5900s gaming cards, go us, and those are working just fine, but the Shadows option works only with directional and spotlights. So let me create a directional light, and I'll move it into my scene. Let's go ahead and rotate it around a little bit. And I switch on Shadows, and nothing happens, and it's really frustrating, and you're going to email me and say, why doesn't the Shadows thing work?
Then I'm going to laugh because of what you forgot to do.
That's right. If you jump down under the shape node for your light and tell it to actually cast shadows, use depth map shadows, not ray trace shadows. So we'll switch on depth map, like so, and now we see shadows. So now it's like, sunrise, sunset, yes.
Sunset.
So yeah, there you go. There's some shadows in your viewport. Now, it should be noted that this will slow down your viewport after some point. Like if I duplicate this light and I make another copy, and I duplicate and I make another copy, and I duplicate and I make another copy, and I duplicate and, just continue doing this. At some point, you can already kind of see it. Although I must admit, your computer's holding up a lot better than mine did.
Because I've got a 6800 card.
Oh, yeah, you're using the 60.
I upgraded.
Cheap.
Upgrades.
Yeah, upgrades. All right, cool. So anyway, the shadows are working really great here. If you got one of the higher class cards, you should be able to handle this with no problem. And really, that's all there is to it. And that is going to wrap up this little lecture over the lighting menu here inside your viewports. So thanks a lot.